Today's guest is Barry Thompson. Barry is a Vietnam veteran who served as a door gunner, a crew chief, and a flight engineer on a CH-47 Chinook helicopter. Barry also had two ultralight airplanes that he flew back in the 1980s, and he has several stories, not only today of his time in Vietnam, but also his adventures on his ultralights. And he is a lifelong shooter and is very knowledgeable when it comes to firearms. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. It was great talking to him, and he's just an incredible person. So thank you, and God bless. All right, Barry Thompson, thank you for being in here today, sir. It's good to see you again.
Thank you.
Yeah. Before we did this, we just looked. You brought some slides down, and we just looked at some of those slides that you had, and I'm telling you, those were unbelievable. Some of those were really nice.
I need to get some of them put on pictures, I guess.
Well, yeah. I would, and I think especially the ones, like I said, the couple where you're coming into fire bases. And you were taking pictures, either you were coming in or leaving, and then a couple that you had of Chinooks in the air was just, I think they were incredible. But before we get into your Vietnam service and everything, where did you are actually a local guy?
Yes,
you grew up in Cowden.
I was born in Cowden, born north of Cowden, actually a little ways.
And you were born at home.
Born at home, yes, yeah.
And you went to school there in Cowden?
All the years, yes.
Yeah. What was life like back in those days, growing up around here?
Carefree and simple. We grew up in the best of times. A lot of us of our ages said that, I mean, we, as a young man, a young boy, we were free to ride our bikes and roam and do whatever, and our parents, I guess they worried about us, but called us in when it was time, and but we pretty well had to free roam of the town. So, and Cowden was a nice little town to grow up in.
Sure, yeah, I can see that. Dad grew up outside of Tower Hill, but
sure.
It's the same thing, Nobody had any money, but everybody was happy.
Right, and didn't need it, yeah.
BB guns and watching Westerns and
sure.
So you graduated then from Cowden High, Cowden High School. What year did you?
65.
You graduated in 65.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, did you get drafted right away, right out of
No,
or did you go?
I graduated at 17, went to work at Mallory's at Pana, and then Sullivan at a little factory, and then I got drafted when I was 19.
Okay. Now, Mallory's, what did they do?
They made timer switches for appliances like washing machines and dryers.
Okay.
Yeah, they had, all of them had mechanical switches at the time. And I had two uncles that worked over there.
Okay.
And so that's probably how I got on, but whatever.
Yeah. So you worked there, and then you said you worked at Sullivan?
At Sullivan,
Now, what'd you do at Sullivan?
It was at a lawnmower factory at Sullivan. Still going. A yard man, I think it's called now, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'll be darned.
Yeah, I was there just for a month, maybe or two. I don't know, not very long.
Right, and then you get the letter at the age of 19.
Yes, I was at Caterpillar by then. So.
Oh wow, you'd moved up then.
I had 6 months at Caterpillar when I got drafted. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I want to go back just a little bit to your childhood, because I know you're a gun guy, and I want to get into that a little bit with you. But was that part of your upbringing?
Not really.
No.
Dad hunted when he was young, and then by the time we were old enough, he had quit. Didn't hunt anymore at all. And but he did. They let me have guns. I had a 410 shotgun, of course, first, like everybody.
Sure.
And then a 22 pistol.
Yep. Okay. So that came later on. Then really, your true love of firearms came a little bit later.
Yes.
on. Yeah. Okay. So you're back at Caterpillar now. You're working, which for people that don't know, that might be listening to this in other countries or around the country, that was a really good job to have.
It was a good job, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
That's where Dad was working when he got drafted.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, Caterpillar was, gosh, It seems like not just for the Decatur, but the whole area, all the little towns around, everybody.
We had a guy that worked there from Vandalia, drove every day.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a common. So there you are. You got a good job. Things are going good, and you get the letter that says, "Come be part of the team."
It said, come in 11 days.
11 days.
They had to give you 10 days notice. I got 11.
Well, that was nice of them to give you that extra day.
I thought so, yes.
I bet you did. So now then you reported to Fort Leonard Wood?
Yes.
And that's where you did your basic.
Right. Mm-hmm.
What was your initial thoughts when you got there?
And my initial thought?
Of getting to reception battalion and of the Army.
Kind of like I expected. The first rule of thumb that everybody tells you is don't volunteer for anything. And they showed us firsthand, needed truck drivers, and they got a wheelbarrow, so I'd already heard that before, so I knew better, but some of them hadn't.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And it was sure a mix of different kind of guys in basic.
Sure.
We had a man from East St. Louis that we lived in World War II barracks in basic training and built in the 40s.
Right.
And had 3 meals a day. And he said, he was a young white man. He said, "This is the best I've ever had it,"
Isn't that something?
It was hard to believe, you know. But he probably stayed in the military,
Yeah, 3 hots in a cot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gosh. So you get through your basic training, and then now, when did you know what occupation you were going to have? Did you get to any say in that at all?
Yes, we did. We'd fill out a sheet and tell them what we wanted to do, and they'd see if you were qualified or whatever. And I said, I want to be an aircraft mechanic. So they sent us to Fort Eustis, Virginia. And that was a 4-month MOS there to train on Chinooks.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think you called it Fort Useless, Virginia.
Fort Useless,
yes.
And
then I know it's Fort Lost in the Woods, Missouri.
Missouri,
Yeah.
yes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So you said it's about 4-month
Yes.
AIT.
Yeah.
And so what was your MOS?
It was helicopter mechanic crew chief.
/ crew chief.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And the specific duties of that is you, obviously, a mechanic. I mean, that, but the crew chief, what does a crew chief do?
Basically, anything the flight engineer tells him to do. I mean, help service the machine. And Chinooks took a lot of maintenance. We changed oil in all the transmissions every 25 hours. So you've opened a lot of oil cans. And then we had a crew of 5, the 2 pilots, the gunner, and the crew chief. The gunner was responsible for cleaning the machine guns every day when we got in, making sure we had enough ammo, etc. And then the pilots were obvious, but the crew chief and the flight engineer, the crew chief rode the gun on the right, and the flight engineer rode in the back and supervised the load.
I'll be darned.
So,
Okay. 5 men per bird. Whenever you were going to AIT, did you know that you were specifically just going to be with Chinooks, or was it the kind of thing that you could have done with Hueys or?
Could have. We were specific Chinook.
Okay, so
yes.
you knew.
Yeah.
Okay, now, and you probably had a very good idea that you were going to be going to Vietnam.
When they told us that the Chinooks we were flying the A models, the first one on the scene. Our numbers on the tails was below 100. So
wow.
They told us there's only one place in the world we're using these Chinooks, and you guys know where it is. So
wasn't much mystery.
We knew that we were going, and I think there was 32 in our class going on that stint, but 28 of us went straight to Vietnam. 2 of them were career military, and 2 of them were 17. And before I left, both the career military was there, and the 2 17-year-olds, which they couldn't send permanent duty to Vietnam, they sent temporary duty till they turned 18.
TDY, and then, yeah. So you finish up your AIT. Now, did you get to come home before you went to Vietnam?
Yes, I had about, I think, around 2 weeks leave over Christmas.
How was that? That had to have been. I know I've talked to Dad and other guys. That had to have been a rough couple weeks.
It was bad because Vietnam was on the national news every night, and most of the time it was talking about Chu Lai, South Vietnam, which is up in I Corps up near the DMZ, and I had orders for Chu Lai, and that's where I thought I was going. And then when we got in country at Cam Ranh Bay, we got assigned to a different company. I ended up on the main base was out in Nha Trang.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we were stationed at Tui Hoa, which was south of Nha Trang, right on the coast.
What were your initial thoughts when? And I asked this to Dad, and I think he said he flew into Ton Son Nhuet is where they came in, their base, and when he first stepped off country in Vietnam. Do you remember your initial reactions when you're on the plane and you land and you're now in Vietnam and you walk out? What are your first, like, sensory, the first, few moments, days? What are your initial thoughts?
Cam Ranh Bay was relatively secure,
And that's where you landed?
And that's where we landed
Okay.
in the jet, yeah.
Okay.
And then they sent a Chinook from Tui Hoa down to pick us up because I think 11 of us come in country at the same time, so they just ferried one down to get us. Then when we come in to our compound, it was all blacked out because they're on red alert from fire. And that was 2 weeks before the Tet Offensive began in earnest. So that was a pretty bad impression.
So you got there 2 weeks before Tet.
Right.
What a horrible time to get there. I mean, that's
kind of what I thought.
I bet so. How was Tet? Well, let me explain to anybody. The younger people might be listening. They don't know what the Tet Offensive was. Tet was, I believe, that's their new year, isn't it?
Yes.
And so the North Vietnamese and the Viet Cong all decided to attack, like have a major offensive against all American forces in Vietnam on their new year, their Tet.
And ARVN forces too. That's the Vietnam forces.
Yeah.
And the Koreans. So we had a lot of Koreans over there.
Yeah, not just attacking or Americans, but attacking any of the good guys.
Yes.
Now, so you're fresh in country, and then this kicks off. How bad was it where you were at? Was there a lot of like indirect fire, catching mortars, rockets?
Most of the time on the mortars, they quit right before they got to our company.
Okay.
And there was other companies further out, and we were the closest one to the village.
Okay.
And I think they probably didn't want to hit the village. So we were kind of in a sanctuary border, you might say.
Okay.
And sometimes they would bring in satchel charges, sneak in the compound, and try to blow up helicopters.
Right.
And things like that. But most of the time on the mortars, they stopped right before they got to us. So
there you are, you're fresh, the Tet Offensive happens, things are kind of, I guess they got a little crazy. Now, were you with your unit that you were going to be with the whole time then?
Yes.
You were. Okay. How long were you in country before you actually went on your first mission to go up in the air? And I know that's been a lot of years, but
I'm guessing, less than a month.
Less than a month.
I decided right off, I like to fly anyway, and I decided I wanted to fly instead of being a mechanic on the ground. So,
so you got to pick.
They couldn't make you fly.
Really?
Really. That was surprising, but yeah, it was volunteer duty. One of the few things I volunteered for.
Yeah. Oh.
But so
well, you're already in Vietnam. You might as well. Yeah.
Might as well see some country.
Yeah.
Yes. So, and they start everybody off as a gunner. So I was a gunner for, I think, a couple, 3 weeks, and made crew chief, and then was crew chief on. Crew chief is not assigned to any certain helicopter or gunners, and the flight engineer is. They assign you to a ship, and that's your duty. You have no other duties.
So when you're, I'm going to say lower enlisted, when you're newer, you're a door gunner, then you work up to crew chief.
Right.
And at that point, you're not assigned one bird. You can go with whoever.
Right.
Okay.
So the crew chiefs and the gunners still had duty once in a while. They'd have guard of a night on the towers. Well, if you had guard, you got the morning off. You got to sleep for 4 hours. And so they'd assign you a new crew chief. and they tried to keep it pretty well as a team, the crew chief and especially the flight engineer, but it didn't always work.
Now, how often were missions? I mean, is it like were missions coming in out of your base daily?
Every day.
Every day.
We
Multiple birds.
Yeah, we had to have 9 flyable every day, and we had 13, I think, in the company, and we had to have 9 ready to go, and that was a chore with spare parts a lot of times.
Oh, I bet, yeah. And now, what were most of the missions that you were doing? Were you carrying personnel? Were you carrying cargo?
Primarily cargo.
And
a lot of sling loads. We'd sling a load underneath of us and take it in and set it down and go. So
105 millimeter howitzers. I know I saw some of your pictures that.
Some of those, yeah.
So you might have a base, a fire base out someplace that's got artillery pieces, and they say, "Hey, we got a gun down. We need another one."
Right. Ammo. We carried a lot of ammo. And then a lot of food. We'd stack a lot of it inside, carry it. We could carry a 3/4-ton truck and a trailer inside. We'd run them in sometimes, not very often. And
a 3/4 truck, do you say inside the bird?
Inside,
wow, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I've flown in Chinooks, but I didn't realize they were big enough to, but they are a big bird.
Yeah.
And those suckers they can take a licking, can't they?
Pretty well, yeah. Seems like it. Everything on aircraft, of course, is redundant. Flight systems everything's duplicated, 2 of each.
Sure. So, in case one would go down.
In case one goes down, yeah.
Yeah. I know that in Afghanistan, I had read that a lot of up in the elevations, they preferred, they couldn't, like Black Hawks and the smaller ones, that's why they use so many Chinooks. And I'd read that that some of these pilots could drop the ramp, and land where they're floating out in the air, and the ramp is touching the side of a mountain, and you have Rangers or SF or whoever getting off, and that's crazy to me. But looking at some of the pictures that you had, where they were either picking something up or setting something down off the back of a 5-ton. Or, you guys called them deuce and a halves.
Yes.
Yeah, a truck. That's the precision of that kind of surprises me.
We had some pilots that were really good and then some that weren't. We had a pilot, for instance, one day we were just hovering on the runway, and he stopped the front of the ship and spun the back rotor and made a 360 all the way around with the front end on the same point. And then stopped the back end and took the front end all the way around to 360 on the back. Yeah.
That's a good pilot.
He was a good pilot, yes.
Yeah.
I don't remember his name. Yeah. So.
At that point, he's just showing off.
Yeah, but it was pretty impressive.
Oh.
We had a full bird colonel for our CO in the company.
Okay.
Yeah, the aviation companies had a lot of high officers. I mean, most companies didn't even have a full bird as company commander, but ours was. We had a lot of rank, a lot of majors.
Yeah, I know, like artillery and infantry units, a company commander is a captain.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you would have a lot more rank there. Now, how long were you in country?
1 year.
Okay, so it's basically similar to infantry or anybody. You had a 1 year.
1 year tour.
One year tour of duty, and I noticed on your pictures that you weren't very far from the ocean.
No.
And that had to be kind of a nice thing for you guys to.
When we got a day off, we could go. We swam in it and surfed a little bit, or tried to surf.
Yeah.
Yes.
That reminds me of that scene from Apocalypse Now.
Does it? Okay.
Charlie, don't surf.
Yeah.
Wasn't that Apocalypse Now?
I think probably.
He says that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell the story about falling off whenever you were up working on your chopper. Just explain what happened that day.
We'd been flying all day, and we tied down the ship of the night, put tie downs in the blades, and of course tied them to the PSP on the ground. I was up on top. Another man down below was spinning the blades. I didn't see him coming and hit me in the back, knocked me off the side, and I went down on steel PSP about 10 or 12 feet. Didn't get up.
You got burgered up pretty good.
I broke my right wrist. They said there was 22 bones. I broke them and hurt one knee, broke some teeth and cut my chin open, sprained the other wrist pretty bad.
You know, it's amazing. I saw the pictures of you in your cast and everything, and you know, you worry about the enemy, but you don't think your own guy's going to end up knocking
Don't do the
you.
enemy.
Yeah.
The sad part of it was, or one of the sad parts was, previous to like a couple months before that happened, anybody that got a broken arm or anything, they sent them to Japan to recuperate. And we had said they had so many guys that were laying their arm across a table and taking their butt of their M16 and breaking their arm.
Oh, no kidding.
So they could go to Japan and recover.
Oh, darn, yeah.
So they said, if you break them, you're going to stay.
Yeah. Well, then you stay.
Luck of the draw.
Yeah. Well, and I thought it was interesting, too, because, you know, one of the questions I had asked you was, so did you keep flying and doing your duty? And you had a pilot ask you that, didn't you, or a commander?
I had a pilot ask me, yes.
And I thought you had an interesting response to that.
He asked me, he said, if we go down, do you think you can drag me out of the cockpit? And I said, I'm not sure, sir, but I'll die trying.
Yeah.
And that was good enough for him, he said.
Yeah. Yeah. So there you are, busted up and still. And now, what were you doing? I mean, at that point, your actual duty, when that bird gets up and you're flying, let's say something goes wrong. Okay, which you had happen. Or you had some, were you cargo and infantry or had personnel on board?
Right.
And
we had a hydraulic leak up right behind the pilots. He said hot oil was hitting him, and it was a night flight. We had about 30 Americans on, troops, and we had to crawl up to the cockpit over all the baggage and rip down the soundproofing and put wrenches up on the hydraulic lines to tighten them up. And it wasn't anything to me, but the passengers we had looked a little scared because of it.
Well, I can imagine. Yeah. So, you said that job made you become a chain smoker. Can you explain that?
The maintenance on our helicopters was done by a bunch of 18 and 19 and 20-year-olds that had sat in the club all night the night before. Probably weren't in the best of shape. Needless to say, we kept them in the air, but the maintenance at times was shoddy. So
yeah,
we pulled back some covers one day, and there was a drive shaft that connected the two rotors on the Chinook on the top, and we pulled the covers back, and somebody had left a screwdriver in there and almost cut the drive shaft in two.
Oh, man.
If it would have come undone, it'd been over with.
Gosh. Well, yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, that's a big deal. Now, how often were you guys take fire when you were going out? I know
we I wouldn't say often. We were we call them milk runs when we flew right in the valley around us. In fact, our CO would take those usually, or colonel, because it wasn't very far away from base. And he had
and what base were you at? What was the name of your base? And then there was
FUHEP was our base.
FUHEP, and you were right next to
Tuiwa
Air Base.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's an Air Force base.
That's an Air Force base.
Okay.
Yeah. But he'd take those flights because they called them milk runs. And we were coming into a place, and the ship right in front of us, they started trying to lob mortars on top of them. So we left. But one of the few times, and another time we come under night fire. We don't know in the daytime as much because you couldn't see it a lot of times.
Right.
Several times, the ship that I flew on never did get hit when I was on it. Mm-hmm. It got hit several times otherwise. But one of the guys, they took a 51 caliber Chinese and hit the frame and splattered and went right up his chest, and they had to send him back home. And the ship right beside us, they hit it and not ours. So I was just
luck of the draw.
Luck of the draw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one thing I thought was interesting, you were talking about, because on the Chinook, you had two guns. You had one M60 on each side, left side and the right side, but the angle you were saying was not right. Basically, it
didn't have enough range. Yes.
So if a lot of times if you were going to catch fire, it was from underneath,
Right.
and you couldn't really even return fire.
We mounted a gun on the ramp for a while, and another M60, but it was such a pain because we were in and out of that ramp so much with loads that we finally just quit doing it. But at least we could fire from back behind pretty well straight down or at an angle, after we went over, but it's too late by then anyway. But
yeah. What do you think's the biggest misconception when you're watching a Vietnam movie and a chopper comes in, or any, and you see the door gunners shooting, or you see what are the misconceptions? What do you see and you go, oh, come on, man, that ain't right?
I've watched a lot of them, but the ones I did watch a lot of times were fairly realistic.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I know you had said something about like the recoil of what they show it.
The recoil on the guns.
Yeah.
That's unrealistic, but
because they're pretty stationary.
yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're kind of
pretty rigid.
Yeah.
Or maybe I didn't notice the recoil. I don't know.
Yeah, could be. Now, you do have an interesting story that you have a souvenir, a 45 caliber souvenir. What's the story there?
We were trying to turn a ship in, take it back to Nha Trang, and the other crews kept taking parts off of it that they needed, which when we got ready to turn one in, they tried to get everything good off of it they could. Took us all morning to try to get it to fly. Well, we laid down on the bench there to take a nap, and after lunch, I'd hung my .45 pistol up on the side, and I don't remember the guy's name, but he went over and picked up my pistol. It was about a foot from my head, and looked at it and racked the slide, didn't see anything in it. Of course, I had it loaded. He didn't see it, and pointed it down at the floor right beside my head and pulled the trigger. And I thought he'd shot me, but
imagine, yeah.
There's a pile of tarp straps on the floor, and it went through those and made a dent on the floor. That's we didn't tell anybody about it or anything. Somebody had to hear the shot, but nothing was
said.
So
the pilots could they? I mean, would they be able to hear it?
No, they weren't on the ship at the time.
Oh, there was no. Okay, yeah. So boom, right next to you.
Right
you think you're hit originally?
Yes.
Yeah.
We could shoot out of the ships when we were flying, and not with the machine guns, but we carried carbines, M1 and M2 carbines, and we could stick them out of the window, and the pilots couldn't even hear them go off. Once in a while, they'd smell the smoke, because it'd drift back in the cockpit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be darned. But you dug that 45 caliber slug out.
It was laying there on the floor.
Yeah.
It just made a dent and stopped. Yes.
And you said you still have it.
I still have it, yes.
Yeah. That's cool. And then you played a trick on your buddies one time. I thought this was funny. I mean, you said, well, when you're 19, 20-year-old kid, whatever, it's one thing. But when you guys were out at the lake and you had an M70, which for anybody listening, an M79 is a 40 millimeter grenade launcher, which when it goes off, it's kind of a big deal. But do you mind telling that?
No. There were 5 or 6 of us there. We were just target practicing, which we rarely got to do, but they were all taking a break, and I pointed the M79 out over the lake and shot it. And just as soon as I did, I pulled the barrel straight up, and they looked over and saw that and started jumping under trucks.
So you shot it at an angle to go into the water, but they hear the blue behind. They turn and look, and at that point, you had switched it to straight, so they think it's going to come straight down.
Yes.
Yeah, that would make you run for cover. Oh, gosh, the orneriness of it all.
They didn't see the humor in it.
Yeah, well, I do sitting here all these years later. I think it's funny, but yeah. Okay, so you wrap up your tour in Vietnam. Well, you did a week at R&R in Bangkok, which a lot of guys do.
Yes.
And that's kind of neat, I think. Gives you a little downtime. You've seen a different, even though it's still Southeast Asia, it's a different culture. And
wasn't under a war,
Wow, yeah.
I've often felt sorry for those people because there was kids that was 20 years old. They were probably in the service by then, but their whole life they had never known anything but war. And it's hard to imagine living in a situation like that,
Oh, it'd be terrible.
So,
It'd be horrible.
I mean, they started in the 50s, and that's all they'd known their whole life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you look at the history of Vietnam, and they fought everybody.
Yes.
They fought the Chinese, and they fought their neighbor. They fought the French.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
So when you're getting close to going home, I know I've talked to a lot of guys. There's a nervousness almost, like it's like, gosh dang it, I know I'm getting close. You start getting worried more about getting hit, or
you think you're going to get this close and then not make it. So I quit flying. I'd have to look, but I think 2 or 3 weeks before I left. Yeah. Finally got scared out.
Yeah.
I guess it was, just fear. Yeah.
Yeah.
You think you got by this long, and
your number's going to come up.
Yes.
Yeah. You hit a pole too. You were showing, they had pictures of, and then you guys had to repair the bird in the field.
We were on a mountaintop on a fire base. They had a antenna stuck up, which was a 2-inch pipe. And the pilot didn't see it. I didn't see it. We backed up and hit it with the rotors, started chopping that pipe in about foot-long sections. And I screamed at the pilot. We were in it. And he lifted up, and we decided about a half hour later to land and look it over. And we ended up, we couldn't fly. We had to change 2 rotor blades in the field. So that was an experience.
Well, I bet.
Yeah.
Now, was that the closest call you had to like having a wreck or crashing out? Was
we come in one time and busted a gear off.
Mm-hmm.
Hit hard and busted a gear at a fire base or something.
When you were going into those fire bases, and you knew, like, obviously this is an area where there's a lot of enemy activity. Obviously, you want to get in, drop your cargo, and get out.
Right.
I'm guessing that puts more stress on the bird coming in that way, or does it really matter?
Doesn't seem to matter.
Okay.
We had one coming out of I think it was Quin Yon, and one of the guys that I knew real well was on it. He was the flight engineer on it. They were loaded up a whole bunch of food on it, a load of food, and it was at a Korean base, and the guys all wanted to go for a ride because it was cool in the air, and so they put about, 10 or 12 Koreans on it. Well, they lifted off it's on a mountaintop. It was too much weight, and they started down the mountain and trying to pick up speed and couldn't make it, and got to the bottom and stuck it in the ground. And the guy that was on it in the back, the pilot got injured. The co-pilot got injured worse. Didn't burn, but he said he just grabbed a hold of the cylinder on the ramp, and he said that's the last he remembers. He was rolling around inside of it. Ended up with a concussion and about a 10-inch cut on his leg, or foot-long cut, and a few other injuries. And he woke up in the hospital in the Trang, and we stopped and saw him one time when we were up there, and he said, "Yeah, I'll fly again." He said, "I was knocked out the whole time." And so when he got out of the hospital after about 3 weeks, he hitched a ride on a Chinook back to our base, and he said, "That's the last time I'll ever get on one." He said he just couldn't do it. And he said, if I have to go on one to get out of here, I will, but that'll be it. He quit flying.
I'll be darned.
Yeah, so.
Now, how did most people view the Chinook compared to the Huey? I mean, as far as the guys that were...
Oh, no different, I think. We were all doing a job.
Sure.
The Chinooks didn't go into the hottest places like the Hueys did.
Okay. Right.
We took troops in at times, but if it was a real bad area, they wouldn't send a Chinook in.
Too big of a target.
Right. And that was fine with me.
Yeah. Well, but even though a lot of your pictures, the areas that you were flying in and flying over, it was remarkable to me at how much you could tell, like artillery strikes,
right.
And and you had several pictures of planes buried into a mountain.
Right.
And you said that was a fairly common sight.
Yeah, real common. You saw them, virtually any airstrip you went into had a plane hulk sitting off the end of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be darned. So you get done, you do your year, you get to come home. How much more time did you have left in the military before you got out?
I got discharged when I got home.
Oh, really?
They had an early out program. If you had less than 5 months, you got an early out. You didn't get to another base. So I spent 19 months and 6 days in the service. So
I'll be darned.
I made it by 6 days. So I discharged out of Fort Lewis.
Fort Lewis, Washington.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I was stationed there.
Yeah.
And then you get to come home.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
How long before you're back home in Cowden to when you were in Vietnam? What was how long? Are we talking a couple days, weeks, months?
Oh, to get home?
Yeah, when you leave Vietnam.
We lost time, I think, or gained time. I don't remember, one or the other. We got into we left out there. We was at Cameron Bay for about 2 days before they got us on a flight. Didn't hardly ever sleep because they just called out your name, and then you went and got on that flight. If you didn't get on, they called another name. So we got on that flight, flew to Japan, then flew into Fort Lewis, and got there about 3 o'clock in the morning. They had a steak dinner for us. We processed the rest of the night, and then I got on a plane next morning for O'Hare in Chicago, and got in there that evening.
So 2 days?
The whole ordeal was probably 3 or 4 days.
3 or 4 days.
With hardly any sleep the whole time.
Yeah, but that always amazes me. How 3 days ago you're in a war zone.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Now you're back home with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of a different transition.
Sure. Yeah.
One of the worst things, not worst, but one of my memories is when somebody says something about Seattle, which Fort Lewis was near Seattle. I left there in January. It was 40 degrees and raining all the time. And come back a year later and it was 40 degrees and raining. That's my whole impression of Seattle.
Well, you're not wrong. I was stationed up there. Let's see. I got there in 92 to 93. And yeah, it rains all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's funny. So you get back home, you're out of the service. What's your plan then?
I went back to work at Caterpillar.
Went back to work at Cat.
Yes.
Now, did you retire from there?
No, I quit after 7.5 years.
Okay.
And that was counting my 19 months in the service. My time accrued when I was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's still counted as company time.
Sure.
And so that's, I got tired of the drive, so I quit and started driving a truck for my neighbor for about a year. And then my brother and I decided to run heavy equipment. We bought a couple D7s, and he had been living in Florida, wanted to move back. So Dad had heavy equipment when he was younger, run some dozers.
So you were somewhat familiar with.
Yes. So we started running heavy equipment and done that for about I don't remember how long, not very long. We got a chance to buy another machine and parts, and we bought it and brought it back and put a little ad in the Prairie Farmer, and started parting out heavy equipment after that. So sold used parts and done that for 40 years.
I'll be darned.
Yeah. And I think back on it, and it was, we had good times and bad times.
Sure.
And Warren passed away after about, I think, 32 years in it. And so 32 to 35, I can't remember for sure, but we kept it open for 40 years. And looking back on it, it was a good business. We got to play on heavy equipment, and as a kid, that's what you do. You get your little trucks and bulldozers and play on them. We got to do it on the real thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
And got to do a lot of traveling. Traveled all over the United States, buying stuff pretty well. I don't know, to the East Coast, and we bought machines all over the place. But
now you had to have been a fair mechanic, I'm guessing, from working on. I mean, you were a mechanic in the Army with aviation, then you're working on heavy machinery.
We kind of learned as we went on a lot of it.
Okay.
Dad had heavy equipment and exposed us to us. Warren had worked for him more than I did.
That's your brother?
Brother, yeah. Younger brother, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and the reason I'm asking that is I'm leading into your continued love for aviation. Is after Where did that spark? Did it start in the Army with being around the choppers?
No, I flew before. I took flying lessons before I went in the service.
Really? I didn't know that.
I started at 17, and there are several of us around Cowden went and took lessons.
I'll be darned.
And most of us quit at the time. I think Lanny flew some, Ralph flew.
Really?
Yeah, several of us. John Hall. And there was several of us around that got the wild hair to take lessons.
Now, were you doing that in Shelbyville?
Yes, and Effingham, yes.
Yeah, I'll be darned.
But I never did get my license. And then whenever ultralights came on the scene in the early 80s, I thought that's what I want. So
okay, and that's where I'm leading to. So when did you get your first ultralight?
I think it was probably around 1980, I think.
1980.
Yes.
You've got some stories. How do you? I guess I'm not a real mechanical guy. I've worked on stuff out of necessity. Replacing a U-joint in a truck because I'm broke and I can't. But who when you buy an ultralight, who does the mechanic work? Do you do it yourself?
Do it yourself, yes.
So you have to trust yourself enough to be a good enough mechanic,
right,
to keep this thing in the air.
Back when I bought my first one, I bought it over in Iowa, and it had twin Chrysler go-kart engines on it, 9 horse apiece. And
2 9-horse?
Yeah,
that's all it is?
That's all it had. And it basically looked like a kite, but anyhow, the guy I bought it from said, he knew I was coming over to get it. He said, the landing cage really is kind of rough. It's tore up. And he said, but I went ahead and overhauled the engines because he said, you'll tear the landing cage off of it anyway. And I thought, well, that's a good vote of confidence. And my first flight I did.
Did you really?
I sure did.
So,
I had a strip that wasn't long enough. I had trees on both ends. And I took off after I got up enough nerve to finally take off. And it would climb a little bit and then start losing altitude because I couldn't get out of ground effect. And it would start, I'd nose it over to pick up airspeed, and the trees were coming up on the end. So I got to trying to plan out my path if I was going to be on an up or down when I got to the trees. And I decided I was going to be on a down, so I turned, and my neighbor had a lonesome old dead pear tree sticking up right in his yard there, and I hooked the wingtip on it and spun it in the ground and tore the landing cage up.
Well, that just cracks me up. Here you are. You have no real. I guess you had a little formal training,
yes,
because you'd had some flight classes,
right?
But as far as on that aircraft,
none. Yeah.
You have none.
No.
And did you have any? Did you just talk to the guy that you bought it from,
yes,
and ask him how you do it?
Yeah, it was pretty basic. You sit in a little kid's swing seats. All it was hung on a nylon cord, and you pushed yourself back to go up and forward to go down. And then it had tip rudders on like bicycle handlebars. Yeah, so. And
that was it.
That was it.
And how many did you have?
2. That I bought that one first and flew it for a while, and then I saw in the magazines this Tierra over in Iowa that a guy made, and there was a dealer over at Nokomis, and I called him up and ordered one. It was a kit. It was about a 40-hour kit to put together, so you had to know a little bit to put it together, but.
Now, what size engines did it have?
It came out with the 28 horse Rotax on it.
Oh, okay.
And I flew it for a while and then converted over to a 40 horse.
Now, a Rotax, was that a 2-stroke?
Yes, yeah.
So
all of them were 2-strokes.
They were all 2-strokes.
Yes, yeah.
Well, 2-strokes are kind of finicky.
Well, people say that, but one reason they're finicky is because you don't change your spark plugs every 10 hours. You don't put new fuel lines on regularly. You don't buy the best oil you can get. And you do a lot of maintenance on them. Make sure they're up and going. So. Well,
when your life's on, it's a lot different than, I guess, than riding a dirt bike, because I had 2-stroke dirt bikes.
Yeah.
And that's no big deal. If it quits running, it's
you ride them till they quit and then fix them.
Yeah, right.
We fixed them first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. I know you told me one time, I don't know, a year or two ago, we were talking, you said you had to put it down. You had a couple, it was up by Tower Hill. You had,
I think 6 times I went down forced, yes.
From mechanical failure?
Yes, yeah.
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 How high would you go in that?
The highest I ever went was 5,400.
Holy cow, that's pretty high.
My brother made some little plaques. He had a manufacturing business for plastics, and he made some little plaques called the Ultralight Mile High Club.
Yeah.
And he'd give one to anybody that went a mile, and I said, I got to have one.
Yeah.
So it's high enough that you almost lose your sense of horizon. You know, it's getting to where it's hard to judge.
Yeah.
And it was cold.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my plan was to shut it off when I was up, but I just couldn't do it. So
Shut it off. Why?
just to glide down with no power.
Oh.
I done that quite often.
Really?
Yeah, I'd go somewhere and just shut it off and glide in without power, just to just to practice doing it
And land that way.
land that way. Yeah, yeah. I couldn't restart in the air.
Do you have to worry about the oxygen as you go up? Like a 54.
Oh.
I mean, you're a mile in the air.
No,
That's
no.
probably not high enough.
You got to get above 12,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, tell us about a couple times you had to put it down. What was the spookiest?
I'll have to think on that. I don't know. One time I was practicing stalls and it died, but I just flew into the airport. I was up a couple thousand feet and flew into the airport. Another time I was coming into my strip I had at home. It was trees on both ends and too short, and I had to put it down it was a picked cornfield in March, and that wasn't real fun, but
Well,
other
that's a
than
bumpy
that, the
ride.
rest of the time I just landed,
Yeah.
so.
So something goes down, and you just. I remember you saying one time, you're like, well, you just start looking for a place to land real quick.
My cardinal rule was don't fly over anything you can't land on.
Well, that's smart.
Well, I thought it was.
Yeah.
It's my rule, yeah.
Yeah.
If I went over the lake a few times, I'd be high enough to go to either side. Same way with over woods. I'd get up high enough that I could go over the woods,
Yeah.
if I went out of power.
Anything else? I think we kind of hit it all.
I think we have.
Well, before I let you go here, I do want to pick your brain a little bit on. We have another common interest, and that's firearms.
Sure.
You're a big gun guy. I know you're a reloader. You've been shooting for years. You can see I've got a poster there of the guns of John Moses Browning.
I looked at it earlier.
Yeah,
yes.
he's the man.
He's the genius.
He
was, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
128 patents.
Was it? Okay.
128. And I think he started designing his first gun, like he was single digits, like 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
And then I think he had his first patent at like 12 or 13. Just God put that man on the earth for a reason.
Yes.
So, what are your favorite handguns? Let's go with that. You're a knowledgeable man. You've fired a lot of handgun.
My favorite is my first semi-auto, probably, and that's a Mark I Ruger pistol.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. 22 caliber.
22. I put thousands of rounds through that gun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still have the handgun. The first handgun I had, my dad bought for me when I turned 18. He bought me a H&R 22 swing-out cylinder revolver.
I've got one.
I shot it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine is horribly, the accuracy on it's horrible.
Mine was pretty good.
Was it?
Yes.
Yeah. How about centerfire handgun?
Centerfire right now, I shoot 9mm mostly.
Yeah.
I've got several different calibers, but I shoot competition when I can, IDPA.
Do you still do that?
We're about out of places to shoot. Most of them have quit.
Yeah.
The only one left is Bloomington. That's very close.
Now, the IDPA, what is that? How's their course of fire set up?
It's defensive pistol course.
Okay.
You shoot primarily paper targets.
Okay.
Man silhouettes is what they are, with a scoring ring on them. And
X-ring and then 10, 9.
No, it's got a 8-inch circle in the chest area for a 0.
Okay.
And then if you're out away from that, it's 1. If you're clear out on the edge, it's 3 down.
Oh.
And this adds, any downs add to your time.
Okay.
It's time and score. And we shoot some steel plates on it. Any miss is 5 points added to your score. And you're going for low score, of course.
Okay.
And then as fast as you can shoot it.
Now, is that like where they have the different scenarios where it might be you're shooting through a window or a
We
car?
set up windows and walls and shoot out of a car on some of the state matches. We shot out of a boat, shot off of a four-wheeler, off of a barrel that was simulating a horse.
Okay.
We do almost every stage has a reload, so you practice reloads.
Well, now, what firearm do you shoot? I know you said 9mm, but what?
I shoot a Springfield Echelon I just bought.
Springfield Echelon.
That's a new one. And I shot a XDM for years.
Okay, yeah.
And started with a Springfield 45. Most guys shoot 9s. A lot of them still shoot 45s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see 1911s a lot?
Quite a bit, yes. Yeah. Most of them are polymer Glock style.
Right, yeah. Center fire rifle. What's your choice there?
300 Weatherby.
A Weatherby?
Yes.
I'll be darned. You like the big stuff. Weatherby mag.
Weatherby. I won one at an NRA event.
Oh.
Yeah. All engraved, and
Oh, wow.
it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you done any hunting with it, or?
I know.
No.
It has killed an elk. I loaned it to a friend. He took it to Colorado and killed an elk with it. But I haven't shot anything but a possum with it.
Well, 300 Weatherby, I imagine that'll take care of a possum.
He didn't play possum.
Yeah. Well, Barry, thank you so much for coming in and doing this today. I really appreciate it. I'm glad to get some of your experiences down here. And, well, I thank you, sir.
You're quite welcome.
All righty.
Yeah.
Take care.
All right.